Tonight, let me take you to a land of golden sands, ancient rivers, and timeless secrets. A place where the stars shone brightly over silent pyramids, and the winds carried whispers of forgotten kings. Close your eyes, let the weight of the day melt away, let the breath soften in your chest. And let your thoughts begin to drift. You are lying beneath the desert sky, the Nile flowing softly nearby, and in the distance, you hear the peaceful rustle of palm trees. Warm winds kiss your skin, and the air smells of river reeds, distant jasmine, and the faint smoke of oil lamps. This is Egypt, long, long ago. A time when gods walked the earth in stories, when the sun was Ra's eye, and the moon was Thoth's inkpot, and when one quiet dream could change the course of history. Before he wore a crown, before his name was carved into stone or spoken in temples, there was a boy named Thutmose. He was just 17, the son of Pharaoh, a prince of Egypt, but he felt more like a whisper in a palace full of thunder. His older brothers trained for war. Their voices echoed in the halls, proud and loud, their footsteps like drums. But Thutmose moved quietly, like shadow and water. He listened more than he spoke. He wondered more than he commanded. While the others sharpened their bronze swords and practiced riding into battle under the desert sun, Thutmose wandered alone. He walked along the banks of the Nile at sunrise, when the mist still kissed the water. He watched ibis birds stepping through the shallows with the grace of priests. He knelt in the dirt beside farmers, watching them plant flax, sharing water from their clay jugs, asking how the river treated them that year. He sat beneath fig trees, sketching leaves and pyramids with a reed stick in the sand. He listened to old women telling stories to children in the shade of whitewashed mud brick homes. He was a prince, but not like others. His father, the Pharaoh, was a man of stone and command. He had ruled for decades. He wanted sons who would conquer, who would lead armies, who would crush rebellion and extend Egypt's borders. But Thutmose? He dreamed of balance. He dreamed of peace. He dreamed, and one night, that dream changed everything. It was the dry season. The Nile had withdrawn, leaving behind its precious gift of silt. The land turned golden with barley and wheat. Farmers harvested by hand, and the fields whispered with rustling grain. One morning, before even the palace birds had stirred, Thutmose rose early. He felt a pull in his chest, a gentle tug, like the unseen current beneath calm water. He couldn't explain it, only that it was calling him. So he saddled his horse and rode alone, without guards, without fanfare. He passed sleepy villages where children chased goats, and old men smoked in silence. He passed date palms bending in the wind, and herons rising like soft grey smoke from the riverbank. He rode deeper into the desert, past the edge of civilization, where only sand and silence lived. And there, in that sacred silence, he saw it. The great Sphinx. It rose from the sand like a dream made solid. The body of a lion, strong and eternal. The head of a man, wise and watchful. The Sphinx had stood for centuries, long before Thutmose, long before even the pyramids, some said. Partly buried in golden sand, it watched the desert as if waiting for something, or someone. Thutmose dismounted. He tied his horse to a lone palm, the only green thing for miles. The wind was dry and warm, carrying whispers through the dunes. He stepped toward the ancient statue. There was no noise, no birds, no flies, just the sound of sand shifting under his feet, and his own breath. He sat beneath the shadow of the Sphinx's face. Massive, silent, eternal. The stone was warm against his back. And there, in the hush of the ancient world, he closed his eyes, and drifted into sleep. The world changed. Gone were the sounds of wind and sand. Gone was the heat of the desert. In its place, stillness, coolness, stars, and a voice. It did not enter his ears, it entered his bones. Thutmose. He opened his eyes. The Sphinx was glowing softly, its stone warmed by moonlight that hadn't been there a moment before. Its eyes glowed not with fire, but with memory. Ancient memory. "I have watched you, child of the Nile," said the voice, not loud, but deep as the earth. "I see your heart. I see your quiet strength. You are not forgotten." Thutmose stood, though he did not know how. He felt weightless, dreamlike, like his body remained asleep beneath the real sky. "One day, you will wear the crown of Egypt," the voice continued, echoing like wind in a canyon. "But only if you remember me. Free me from the sand, restore my name, and the throne shall be yours." There was a long pause, and then, nothing. Silence returned. The warmth of sunlight on his cheeks woke him gently. He blinked, disoriented. The Sphinx was no longer glowing. It was as it had been before, silent, stoic, half buried in sand. But something had changed in Thutmose. Not just in his mind, but deep in his chest. A seed had been planted, and like the barley in the Nile soil, it would grow. Thutmose returned to the palace in silence. He spoke of nothing, not of the desert, not of the dream. Who would believe him? He barely believed it himself. And yet, every night, when the stars came out and the winds cooled the earth, he thought of it. He would lie in bed and feel the Sphinx's voice in his chest. "Free me, and the throne shall be yours." Years passed. His older brothers went to war, fought in Nubia and Canaan. They won battles, but lost other things: health, fortune, even their lives. And slowly, unexpectedly, Thutmose, the quiet one, the dreamer, was all that remained. He never fought for the throne, but the throne came to him, and one day, the royal crown, the tall white and red crown of Upper and Lower Egypt, was placed upon his head. He was Pharaoh. The people were surprised. Some feared him too quiet, too gentle. But others remembered the thoughtful prince, the one who walked among them without guards. And they hoped for a king who listened. And Thutmose did. He visited temples, sat with priests, listened to the voices of the poor. He repaired roads and built water channels for farmers. He restored broken statues and painted fading hieroglyphs. He honored the gods, but never forgot the Sphinx. The dream had never left him. And so, one morning, with priests beside him, with architects and laborers following, Pharaoh Thutmose returned to the desert. He rode again to the edge of silence, and there, the great Sphinx waited, still buried halfway in sand. Its body was hidden, only the proud head gazing toward the horizon. But Thutmose knew what was beneath. He stood before it in the same spot where, years ago, he had fallen asleep. He raised a hand and touched its stone cheek. "I remember you," he whispered. Then, he ordered the work to begin. Day by day the sand was removed. Hundreds of men dug with care, brushing away centuries of silence. He ordered a wall built to protect it. And he commissioned a monument, a stele, a tall stone slab, placed between the Sphinx's paws. On it, he had the dream carved, word by word, line by line. So all who came after would know. This pharaoh had once dreamed beneath the stars, and that dream had come true. That monument still stands today. They call it the Dream Stele. And the Sphinx still watches the desert, as it has for over 4,000 years. But perhaps, it's not just a monument. Perhaps it's a message for the quiet souls. The ones who listen. The ones who feel pulled by something deeper, something old, something beyond words. It's a reminder that dreams matter, that power is not always loud, that the heart can hear what the ears cannot, that sometimes, destiny waits in silence, beneath centuries of sand, and all it asks is that we remember. Now, as you lie in your bed, let your breath rise and fall like the Nile. Let your muscles soften. Let your mind drift across golden fields and starry skies. Think of Thutmose, the quiet prince, the dreamer, the pharaoh, the boy who followed a feeling into the desert and found his place in history. And remember, even in stillness you are seen. Even in sleep you are heard. Even in silence you are not forgotten. Good night, dreamer of kings. May your dreams be ancient, kind, and true.